Good afternoon, superstars. Hope you guys are having a great day. It's rainy and cold out there. Please do your best to be safe. Don't want anybody sliding off the road and hurting themselves. I want to talk to you today about a couple things that we've already touched on. National Association of Realtors banned pocket listings, and here's what we have going on in the field, and we're really getting a lot of this right now. We're having agents put in the MLS, and I went over this already once, but we're doing it again. Put in the MLS that it's in the MLS, and they're saying can't show for 2 weeks. If you put in the MLS, it has to be available to show. Those listings need to be taken down. So if you run across one like that, simply make a copy of it, send it into CAM at GTAR or the respective boards. It's a violation of the new rules that we've got with NAR, okay, National Association of Board of Directors. And what you've got is just, you've got people, and it's been litigated already, and they lost, the ones that are against that. So basically you tell them you can't do that. If you got an MLS, it has to be available to show. You cannot put your seller in a position like that. So you can't even advertise. What we're finding is we still have agents out there that are still trying to work around and have pocket listings. NAR was pretty clear on this, and it has been litigated, and it has already been tried in the courts in California. It didn't work. I talked to Ed at GTAR. We've already talked to him about one or two, and he says, no, they're wrong. They've got to take them out of there. So he's made a couple of phone calls, a couple of emails. It doesn't matter. The only way that you cannot have one in MLS is it has to be in writing from the seller with certain things in there that they don't want an MLS. Well, if they don't want an MLS, then they don't want to sign the yard. They don't want this. You can't advertise it on Facebook. You can't do any of that. So if a seller says, well, I don't want an MLS, but I want you to put it on Facebook, doesn't work. Doesn't work. You basically don't have a listing. Also, guys, we just did a MHG happy hour episode where we went out to a mobile home and a manufactured housing place, and we talked about some of the things we're still dealing today. Brittany and them have one right now where you had a mobile home that was personal property that wasn't attached to land, this, that, and the other. We're getting right to the end, and the buyer's freaking out because they can't get things switched around to real property. You've got people listing properties, not using the VIN number. It's not tied down. It's not retrofitted. None of these things are out there. So you want to make sure that if you're doing these kinds of properties, and we're going to be doing more of them as property gets tighter, you're going to see people saying, well, I'll do that. As we do more of them, we want to make sure that we're doing the right thing and have the due diligence done. So here we are right before closing on one, and now we've got issues that's going to delay the closing. Shouldn't do that. You got a buyer expecting to be in a home, and the listing agent didn't do their due diligence. Thank God it wasn't one of ours. Didn't do their due diligence and get this thing out there listed the proper way. Don't take listings that aren't ready to be sold, okay? If it's inherited, if it's in a estate, if any of these things, get to a title company, get to somebody, make sure the property's sellable before you put it on the market. There's nothing worse than listing a property, a buyer's excited about getting it, and then the seller, and we got one case now where the seller said, well, I may have to back out, but I'm not paying for any of the buyer's expenses. So the buyer's got to sue to get the money they spent on inspections and everything of the house, okay, when the seller's house wasn't ready to sell in the first place. So watch what you're doing out there. We want to make sure inventory's tight. We want to watch for these agents that are putting them on the MLS and saying you can't show for 2 weeks, and then mysteriously when 2 weeks comes and they're marked sold, and they double-sided it. That was the main reason NAR came up with this rule. And turn them into MLS. We're not going to write TAR complaints or anything on them. We just want to turn them into MLS. Hey, we got one saying you can't show the house for 2 weeks. They put in MLS. They'll notify them and say, look, you're in violation. It either has to be taken down or has to be available to show. So we want to make sure that we do the right thing, and we don't do that. Now, if you're listing a mobile home, make sure it's retrofitted. Make sure the VIN number, make sure it's attached the way it should be. If you have any doubts, go to a title company and have it checked out before you take it active in the MLS, because you're going to get an offer on it, and it has to be able to be sold. Guys, I hope you guys are having a great one. We got Christmas party coming up in December. Election is next Tuesday. Get out and vote. Any way you want to, that's fine. Everybody kind of knows my politics, but I don't hold them against anybody. Want you guys to be happy, do the best you can. Weather's supposed to be cooling off again this weekend. We're going to get clear skies today. We've got rainy and slick out there, so be careful. We've got some of our friends in our northern territories got a little snow. Lubbock and all that way is, oh man, they're having a rough time. So pray for everybody to have a good week, a good weekend. Let's close this month out strong, get the election over, and run to the finish line at the end of the year. And watch these listings. It is very, very important that we keep property that is available to sell and we don't play games. I am going to tell you, TAR, National Association of Realtors, they're going to clamp down on people that are breaking the rules. Guys, you don't want to play around with this, okay? And we have agents out there that are doing it. We have some that should know better with other companies. So I don't feel sorry for them if they get their bell rung. They know, they've been told. So have a great one. You guys have a great week. Brittany or I will be back next week with some more. Let me get that over there.